Hey everybody, I'm Katie, and welcome to Head of the Class. I'm joined today by Mrs. Kim Pendleton, one of Freedom Project Academy's elementary teachers who's been with FPA since 2018. Mrs. Pendleton, you get to teach some of our youngest students. Tell us why you decided to become a teacher and help educate future generations.
Okay. Well, quite honestly, my first reason was financial. My husband had become disabled. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I knew I had to go back to school and get some kind of education. And I naturally gravitated toward education. I had two avenues I could have gone. I loved English. I loved reading, literature, all of that. So I planned on being an English teacher. But the program wasn't offered in my area, so I ended up becoming an elementary school teacher. And my first job was kindergarten. I had prepared for middle school, and sure enough, I got kindergarten, but absolutely loved it.
Now, having 2 hours a day, 4 days per week with your students in an online setting is definitely different than brick and mortar. How do you arrange your classroom and engage with students in the virtual format?
Yeah, it's completely different. When I was doing my master's program in educational technology, we adhere to the design principles, and that's CARP. Contrast, alignment, repetition, and proximity. And so everything I design in my classroom has to adhere to those principles. So contrast, so I'm using contrasting colors to really pop out those things I want them to focus on. I'm contrasting borders. Just the fact of where I position my pods is contrasting. Alignment, again, if you think about design principles, things are aligned. I have a lot of center aligned when I really want them to focus on a center box. And then our repetition is huge for second grade. We do a lot of repetition. So not only in what I'm showing in my slides, every one of my subjects has a theme, and it's repeated throughout the year. So that really gives them that hook to put on as we continue through the year. And so it has a color theme, it has a design theme that I repeat, and of course, repetition. We do a lot of repeating in second grade. Lots of reading, repeating ourselves, facts, things that we're constantly doing to just enforce that learning. And then proximity, and that's a big one for an online classroom because you are not physically near your students, which develops that bond. So I actually have my layouts. I am right there in the corner above my attendees pod. So my video is aligned with them, but above them. So I have that proximity between me and my students. And then just in the actual teaching and the pedagogy, I have that proximity with my camera. And so when I'm addressing them, I'm looking at them. I'm really trying to engage them and pull them out. I can hear them, of course I can't see them. So that gets really tricky to be able to have that in an online setting.
And teaching dozens of elementary students can certainly fill your time, but when you do get some free time, what is it that you like to do?
I like to play games. I love spending time with family, and when we get together, we do three things. We talk, we eat, and we play games. And that is super important in my family, so we're always playing some kind of game.
And now you've been teaching for more than a decade, but what specifically about FPA made you want to join?
Do you have an hour? So much about it. Now, I'm coming directly last year from a brick and mortar setting. And I had spent a couple years really researching classical education, looking for alternatives for my teaching. I knew that there was something fundamentally wrong in the public education system. I knew my students weren't learning to read, and there was, a lot of things I wish I could do differently. And so I did that studying of classical education for a year or two. and just started researching, and just it was happenstance that brought me to FPA. Karen Bracken, somebody that posted on one of my message boards, was talking, and she put the link to FPA in the message board. So I just clicked on it and checked it out, and I thought, whoa, that's what I've been looking for 2 years. It aligned with my philosophy of teaching classically. It aligned with my values, my Christian values, and it aligned with my philosophy of what I feel is important for students. And number one is accountability. And FPA has accountability, and that's really lacking in today's schools.
Now, before we wrap up, we're going to do what I'm calling a quick fire. So we're going to have you answer the following questions as quickly as possible.
Okay.
What are 5 words to describe you?
Let's see, compassionate, easygoing. Probably everybody that knows me will say that. Let's see, I'm curious, fun, I like games, and a little bit ADD.
All right, what are your 4 favorite movies, either yours personally or for your classroom?
Hands down, Groundhog Day, my top movie. I love it, and I could probably talk about an hour about Groundhog Day. And then the traditional ones, Anne of Green Gables, anything with Bronte. So, and let's see, what's another one? Any Sherlock movies. I love Sherlock, and as well as books.
All right.
As well.
What about 3 games that you like to play, either yours or for your classroom?
My current favorite one, my husband and I play a lot, is Rummikub, and so we'll play that often. Every week we'll play that at least once during the week. Scrabble when we have more time, and any kinds of card games I play with my friends. Hand and Foot is one of my favorites.
Now, what are your 2 favorite subjects to teach?
Oh, hands down, reading and phonics. I know that sounds a little nerdy to want to teach phonics, but I didn't get to teach it so many years in elementary school. It just wasn't there in the public school. So I am just loving teaching phonics this year.
All right. And finally, what's one piece of advice you have for your students?
The diligent prosper. It's several Bible verses in Proverbs, but to really think about, what we do every day, even the mundane, simplistic, routine things lead to great abundance. And it's holding on for that, being diligent. And we have it here at FPA, and it's called accountability, which creates diligence in our students.
Mrs. Pendleton, thank you so much for being here today. Learn more about our spectacular teachers and Freedom Project Academy at fpeusa.org.